Hello everyone, so today is Monday, April the 13th, and it's actually my 29th day in quarantine, which is almost a month, and I'm sure you are in a very similar situation. This pandemic is affecting all of us, though in different ways, but I'm sure you have been feeling frustrated. Maybe some of the things change for you, maybe you're experiencing some new problems that you previously didn't have, and it might be getting a bit too much. And I know that some of my friends have been really struggling with adapting to this new reality, as I probably would call it. But actually today I wanted to talk about the meaning of life. And whenever I approach a big subject like this, whether it's through writing, like writing a blog or something, or on video like I am doing now, I feel a bit weird. I get a bit of a imposter syndrome, as in thinking like, oh, who am I to give people advice or to tackle a subject like this? But actually, if I, through my own experience, through my reading, through taking psychology courses that I have been doing, if I can help at least one person figure some things out in their life, then I'll be very, very happy for that. Anyway, at the moment I'm finishing up reading this very good book that's called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And Frankl is he was an author, a psychologist, and he came up with his own sort of school of thought called logotherapy. And he had a very difficult fate. He was sent to a concentration camp during the Second World War, and he just writes about his experience, but the main sort of topic, the main outcome, the main thing he's trying to convey in his book is that every person needs to have a meaning in life, and that's what will help you get through anything really, any problems. So he's saying that every person needs either like somebody to live for, you know, or something to live for. So when he talks about the experience in the concentration camp, he says that some people had something to look forward to, as in like, you know, coming back to their families, or if somebody was working on the research and that was like some very unique research that, you know, nobody else was attempting in the world, so they felt the need to survive this experience to go back to their research and finish it. And that actually reminds me of this quote by Gordon Livingston, and he said that every person needs something to do, someone to love, and something to look forward to. But I would extend this idea further, Frankl's idea of this need to have a meaning in life further. I think yes, like every person needs a meaning or a purpose, but that meaning has to be sustainable and good for you personally as well, because too many people have a purpose in life that can sort of sustain them for some time. Like for example, my mom, after my parents got divorced when I was a kid, I was 3 years old, but she continued loving my dad, and that made her really depressed on the one hand. On the other hand, that kind of, I guess, sustained her for a bit, because she was still in love with him, even though he didn't want to do anything with that anymore, like he was over it, but my mom wasn't. So for a long time, I guess a few years, she saw that as the meaning of her life. Like she wanted my dad to come back into the family. So that, you know, things like this can be a meaning of life, can be a purpose. You can live for somebody, but what if that somebody doesn't see things the same way? Or like, what if you live with a partner and everything you do is for that partner, and you know that's your purpose, but then that partner suddenly leaves, then that can cause a breakdown and rid you of a purpose in life. So I would extend this thought that everybody needs a meaning by, is this meaning sustainable? Like every time you think of a meaning, ask yourself a question, but why do I need this? And if the end result is something that is not essentially good for you, for your future, then probably you need a different meaning. But in that way anyway, like even if there is a difficult situation, if it's something like going through the experience of living in a concentration camp, any meaning, any purpose might serve you well. So it can be something like, loving somebody, or, something, as long as it's just to get through that experience. But long term, you do need a why that is essentially can sustain you for the whole of your life, no matter what happens. So these are difficult, challenging times. The pandemic is affecting all of us. And now I guess a lot of people can suddenly have these questions like, can suddenly lose meaning of life. And it may be difficult to track this meaning, this purpose, if you didn't have it at pre-pandemic times. So one thing that you can do, because it's difficult to plan anything, to predict anything, because we don't know how long we will all be forced to be in the lockdown. And with me, for example, I had some plans both for the end of March, for April, and for May. And if you have been reading my newsletter for a couple of months, you probably will know that I was planning to go to the Donbas at the end of last month. This month I was planning to go to do a Vipassana, and actually I think tomorrow was the day I was supposed to leave to do a Vipassana course for 10 days. And then next month I was supposed to be going to Dublin, which I'm pretty sure will not happen anymore. So, my plans got shattered. A lot of things I planned are no longer happening, and also in 12 days it's going to be my birthday, so I'll probably celebrate my birthday in quarantine, and I don't even know what the situation will be like in the country at that point. Like, for example, some cafes already will be open, so I will be able to meet with some of my friends, or will everything remain shut? Because at the moment the quarantine, I think, is only until April 24th, so that means in 2 days, when is my birthday, I should be able to do something. But there is no guarantee that the strict rules will not be extended. So it's difficult to plan for anything, and I know that myself personally too. So one way of looking at that and helping yourself is finding a purpose just for the duration of quarantine. So we don't know how long exactly the quarantine will last, but we do know that it can be at least another month or 3 months. So just ask yourself, what am I willing to accomplish in 1 to 3 months? And obviously that accomplishment needs to be doable in these conditions. So it can't be something like, travel the whole world, because what are the chances that you'll be able to do it? So like 1 to 3 months is a relatively short period of time. So it's easy to plan it and just do that. And once you came up with the meaning for these 3 months, with the purpose, then it will be easier for you to get through these days as they go on. So that's just one way of doing that. I would strongly argue and encourage you to have a meaning, a purpose, at least for this period of time, because I see too many of my friends like doing random things now, because I guess some time was freed up for them, and they start doing things like, I don't know, watching Berlin Opera, and I just don't understand this. So if you never were interested in Berlin Opera before, and you just start spending hours doing that now, it seems a bit weird. To me it seems weird when people just throw themselves into some weird things that are not serving their goals, their future purposes, their future identities. So that's why I would encourage you to do this exercise and think, what would I like when we are all out of this quarantine, what do I want to achieve? And then work from that. And I know you, of course, may say, like, Maria, it's not as easy as you say, like, this is a pandemic, we don't know whether we're going to be alive or dead by when this 3 months are over, like, this is serious, you should not take this lightly. I would encourage you to read this book, Man's Search for Meaning. Like, if you are saying that what you have now, being in lockdown, is more serious than Viktor Frankl going through constant torture for 3 years, I believe it was. He spent in a concentration camp and he was beaten, he was malnourished, he just went through so many crazy things, and yet he managed to get out of it all just by having his thoughts focused and his not losing his meaning. So as soon as a person gives up and says, well, life is meaningless and there's nothing to live for, it's inevitable that that person will die or something bad will happen to them. So just don't lose your meaning. Read Viktor Frankl if you haven't yet, and I hope you use this time in quarantine to do something useful. I mean, I don't like it when people pressure other people to be like super productive and do like 20 times what they used to do before. I don't think it works like this. I just think that the main thing is to stay on track and think, what am I trying to accomplish here? Where do I want to be in the future? How can I use this time to serve my purpose, even if it's a purpose for the next 3 months? And I think that's what will help you get through this period. Okay, so thank you for listening, and see you next time.